that's another child in our kids' generation who is traumatized. Okay, so we just discussed how special interests are put over the child's interests by structure. And now we're going to speak with Maureen Davis about how childhood trauma is mental illness and how we can move forward into advocacy. Hello everyone, so grateful to be here, so grateful to see so many people here. My name is Maureen O'Neill Davis. I'm from Connecticut. I have 3 children. My children are adopted children who were kinship placed following the domestic violence murder of their mother, my sister-in-law. And we were celebrated initially for swooping up and taking them in. But the system that we're talking about today, that system didn't see us that way. I'm here to talk about what we do in Connecticut as well to advocate for change and why we're advocating there. And I'm also going to finish up by talking to you about how we can help you become more effective in your states by supporting and bringing and leading legislation at the state level so that we can all be moving our state legislature, bills, laws, and policies forward to ensure that this doesn't continue to happen. Family
Thank
Forward
you for going. We're living through you today.
We are a chapter of Family Forward Project, and so we encourage you to find our website, familyforwardadvocacyct.com, see what we're doing in terms of services and policy reform, and we can certainly help you. Contact us, and we will support the work that you're doing at your state level. So, what I want to start with is we lead on policy reform around trauma, and children with early childhood trauma are being taken from their children, from their parents, and they're being returned to their parents after spending years in foster care. Foster care is early childhood trauma, no matter how you cut it. When a child loses a biological parent, when a child loses their sense of safety and security and maternal love, that in itself is trauma. The system won't tell you that. The system will say they were loved and they've attached to their foster family, so we're not going to send them back to their parents because they're good right where they are. That child is traumatized for life. We see it every day. That is part of why we see children aging out of the system. That is why we see kids winding up trafficked and not feeling like they have a sense of belonging. They don't trust. They don't trust because the foster system doesn't allow them to build trust with strangers. And how they get there is by a system that is focused more on the funding that Kathleen Arthur just talked about, rather than the best interest of our children and the well-being of our children and their families. In 2005, our son was 9 months old, and we lived in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And on July 22nd, when my husband's sister was brutally murdered in front of their 2 children, we stepped up. We thought we were doing the right thing. We're going to bring our 2 nieces into our family and raise them as our own. Their biological father gave up his parental rights in order for the court to go easy on him. He ultimately got 30 years in prison, and he's still there today. We knew our daughters, our nieces, now daughters, were traumatized. We knew when they walked into our house, our oldest was 3 years old at the time. She walked in, she recognized us. She knew when she came into our house that she was coming in to somewhere safe. She's had her challenges over the years, but she knew when she got to us that she was safe. She knew us. Our younger niece did not. She knew that she was in a strange place. She just experienced a sensory overload of a murder, and she didn't know where her mommy was. We became a foster situation for her because she didn't know who we were. And that sense of lack of safety has stayed with her. She never trusted us, despite years of trying to work with the system and with trauma therapists. She never has come to trust us. And that's in her bones. That's visceral memory of the loss and trauma she experienced. We reached out to the Department of Children and Families in the state of Connecticut, and we asked for help. because our daughter's needs were profound. And we hear about this with foster children all the time. They disrupt from foster placements. Their behaviors are out of control. We don't know what to do because they're not feeling safe, so they respond with a fight-flight response in foster care. So what happens in foster care is these children are moved from placement to placement to placement because foster parents aren't trained effectively to work with the children after they're traumatized, and they disrupt. Parents who do step up and adopt kids, even for the right reasons and in the right scenarios like we did, we're not educated either. We're not educated on what trauma actually does to the young brain. But I did know, and we did reach out, and the system told us, we can help you. They denied us the help, and they took our niece away and put her in foster care. She was in foster care for a total of 3 years. We got her back for a short time after 2 years. But she was already compounded. Her trauma was already compounded. So when we got her back the second time, we were working at an uphill battle. What we found was from 2011 until 2016, 866 children lost their parents or their adoptive parents through termination of custody and a neglect petition as a state-endorsed process to gain access to high-level or residential treatment for their child. 866 parents became subject to what we have in Connecticut called a neglect petition for reasons of uncared for due to specialized needs. That's a lot of kids being taken into the foster care system, those are dollar signs, for reasons of specialized needs. With that termination of custody comes a termination of decision-making authority over medical, mental health, education, and behavioral health needs, as well as basic needs. You don't get to know where they are, you don't get to be involved with therapy, and you don't get to petition the court to get them back because in reality, they do have specialized needs that need a higher level of care than what you can typically provide in your home. But the state is going to get more federal money for taking that child into foster care than they're going to get to help you get the specialized care your child needs with you at the decision-making help. The only reason that's happening is because of the Title IV-E funding that Kathleen Arthur talked about earlier. Raising a traumatized child is complicated, exhausting, and at times dangerous. Raising our youngest daughter became a danger and became more dangerous as she got older. Initially, like I said, she feared us, but she pushed us away. She harmed her brother, she harmed me, and the first time she ran away, you know, that fight-flight response that our kids have, the first time she ran away, she was 4. We couldn't keep babysitters, and the therapists weren't helping us because they weren't even trained at that point. Childhood trauma is, in fact, mental illness. And the caregivers that step up and care for our children, whether they be family members like myself or families that get their kids back out of foster care, do not realize the services that they need or how to advocate to ensure that their children are actually going to get the help that they need. For the most part, we've changed custody for care in the state of Connecticut. We were able, with the support of Family First Prevention Services Act funding, which is in the process of beginning to flow into Connecticut, we have been able to move the DCF, Department of Children and Families, response to complex need kids and our families out of DCF and into Beacon Health Options, which in our state is our Medicaid provider. They also provide complex need care coordination, family access coordination, so that families can get what used to only be accessed through DCF custody on their own, with Medicaid paying the bill, as well as DCF funding funneled through this other agency. So it is starting to happen. In Connecticut, we got this accomplished. We got this accomplished by partnering with a new DCF commissioner and a new lens on what child welfare looks like. Child welfare is not just about child protection. It's not about taking a child whose complex needs are too great for a family to handle. It's about coming up alongside that family, supporting them, providing the funding and access to services that they're actually looking for. and allowing them to further inform the treatment and response model that their child actually needs.
You're not listening.
You know,
The
we've
child
got
ran away from foster
856
care.
kids in 5 years losing their parents. You got to wonder what that money is all about, right? And what we found, and what the Deputy Commissioner Michael Williams of the Connecticut DCF has said openly in an NBC interview, is that Family First is a game changer in child protection and child welfare. And in Connecticut, he added that we now have the resources, the time, and the focus to be able to change child protection to a proactive, preventative model rather than just a reactionary model with funding coming up and reimbursing them after they take the children. It was pretty great that he came out and said that. Not a lot of states are understanding that that's where the value of Family First is, but that is where it is, and we're going to continue to work to expand on the Family First Prevention Services Act, as Kathleen talked about. And next year, this fall and next year, we do expect to get additional legislation so states can recognize how valuable it can be if they implement it correctly in their states. So as a result of Family Forward Advocacy Connecticut, we are now recognized in the state of Connecticut as an authority on the impact of early childhood trauma on children, the experience parents go through raising a traumatized child, the child servicing system shortfalls in our state, and unhealthy parents raising attachment-disrupted youth. I'm passionate about reforming child serving systems to better support family integrity and supporting parents in the trenches of therapeutic parenting. I'm very intentional about educating lawmakers and helping them see the whole child welfare picture. By leading change, it requires all of us. We all need to be involved in leading change because it's about educating lawmakers, educating participants in our system, and supporting those parents who are just now becoming exposed to our still ill-prepared and poorly informed systems in our states. So I'm here today to actually support you all in becoming more effective at being an advocate in your states. Reach out to us at our website, familyforwardadvocacyct.com, and look to us to help you become better at what you're doing in your states. Using your voice effectively. It's about intelligence over emotion. Become a credible voice for change with policymakers by putting yourself in situations to be at oversight meetings. Be appointed to oversight councils that your governor or counties have. Become active at the advisory tables that do exist in your states. You might have to wedge yourself in there, but we can help you to figure out how. Building coalitions, alliances, and partnerships in your state. Expand your single voice into a much louder voice that can be heard more effectively. We can help you network, become more visible to the media. A great part of this is to get media stories done in an effective way that brings solutions to the masses. Talk about the issues that are happening to you or other families you work with, but talk about the solutions that are needed to really inform change. And we want to help you with how to do that and how to develop solution-driven messaging in your states. It's all about passion and purpose. Leading real reform and meaningful change does take all of us, and it takes knowing how to make your voice be heard. Thank you. Everybody give it up for Maureen O'Neill Davis! I cannot emphasize enough, y'all. The Family Forward Advocacy Connecticut website is just a wealth of resources for parents and kids with trauma. She is our expert, but we know who else are the hundreds of thousands of kids who actually experience this and age out. So next we're going to hear from Treya Jackson of Illinois about, hang on one sec. Foster care survivor waiting for the rescue that never came. Give it up for Treya, y'all.
Hi, my name is Treya Jackson. I am a former foster child of the state of Illinois. However, I traveled for 4 different other states. I was transferred constantly, and I was in California, Indiana, Ohio, and Florida. And I was like a lot of other little kids. I just wanted to be loved and cared for. But I was born to a family that was dysfunctional, and I was abused constantly. And every time someone got involved, like the police or even CPS, they handed me right back to my abusers. I really needed help, and I was feared that I was just gonna die. So when I hear the best interest of the child, it means something a little different to me. It just sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo the courts say to us kids. It's really what's in the best interest of the state. So at age 5, I became a foster. I was actually abused, and then when the guardian actually called it in to DCFS, they actually said it would take a week to get out there. And I was abandoned in a park with a younger step-sibling. We eventually ended up in a big, tall building, and
Sorry, guys, we're moving.
introduced to a world of confusion. I was incarcerated, I felt like, into a system that was unjust and unfair, where I prayed that I would end up in a foster home that would love me. But I journeyed to over 40 countries.
I'm not gonna be able to hear back there. That's the thing.
And even though I had nightmares and I had issues going on, behavior issues, they still remained in place until one foster brother
It's here, I can just stand back there and take turns.
he actually ended up in contempt. But I had
You can go first.
need it.
Just watch my phone. You gotta watch what's on. her name Jacqueline?
Give another hand for Treya, y'all. How brave is Trey? She is not just here sharing her story. She is trying to keep it from happening to others. God bless her.
Amen.
Thank you guys so much. So next we are going to welcome up Jacqueline Cholo Perkins from South Carolina. She's going to share with us our journey towards justice. Give her a hand, y'all. Jacqueline,
Washington, D.C. is like, wow, oh my God, foreign land. Okay, so seriously, I am completely in shock and disbelief. I'm here, sitting in front of all of you, proudly, side by side, the most recognized, experienced, and highly trained advocates of this movement has to offer. Thank you. On that note, I want to thank Ms. Karen Silk
Kids are really happy with
Project for inviting me to this event. Thank you, Ms. Karen. I'm looking forward to possibly starting a new chapter with Flowball at Family Forest and the rest of my
Yeah, I was sold physical custody.
I also want to give a little shout out to Laura Thompson. Did I say it right? Thompson? Advocacy whistleblower, Amy, Miss Connie Regulate, Maureen Davis, Heather Carter, Brian,
They're right.
and all of y'all that made this possible.
I'm so sorry.
So, I want to show gratitude towards those for hours, night and day, got me here where I am. I want to give a special shout out to Nationwide Prayer Network that sponsored me to get on a plane to come here. I didn't know them from a hole in the wall, but they believed in me and they want to help me get my child home. So, I have a support system online in addition to our journey towards justice. It's actually called #legally kidnapped. Support group for parents and caregivers battling CPS family court and CPS and family court. It's not about numbers, likes, or follows. In all honesty, it's about the bond. The knowledge readily available amongst an array of members that can be anyone from a single mother to a grandparent fighting their way through the system. I started this group because I wanted to, and I have the support. I'm very nervous. I started this group because I wish I had the support and the virtual family prior to my daughter being taken away in October of 2017. I was alone, confused, and rattled, all while trying to navigate a relatively foreign system, and just took my time. Before I continue what I have to say, I need to show gratitude to the many supporters that have come along with my journey towards
cliche, right? But it's not. It's never too late. Weird or overrated to think and never fair. Now, I'm not trying to turn this into a acceptance here because of the end of it. Nor sit here or preach to you. But I'm here to enlighten. I'm here to tell you without him, I would not be here. But the path I chose after my daughter was taken, I should have been 6 feet under.
There's an ice cream truck.
He has brought many messengers my life to help me get through the loneliest and darkest of days, and has taken some so-called messengers out of my life to help me prevent history from repeating itself. A little piece of advice I wanted to leave before I move on to my next point is whether you're spiritual or not, believe in God, Allah, Buddha, anything. Always keep the faith and remember nothing lasts forever. I was 25 years old looking down into an empty pill bottle and wondering, is this it? Is this my so-called life, purpose in life? Was this, to be a full-blown addict? Of course not. Losing my daughter when I was already at my lowest point in my life was extremely hard. Looking back at now, I do not know how I survived, honestly. If you want my best opinion, but the 8 to 10 months into my case of pure emptiness and darkness, and not just giving 2 craps, I looked at the sky and I was like, yeah, there has to be something bigger and better out there. Give me a sign for once. I'm tired. I give my all to you. Yes, this sounds like a straight out of a book or a Lifetime movie. But no, it wasn't. It was literally the beginning of a fresh new start. Full of even more stumbles, falls, losses, and very few victories. Developing some kind of spirituality helped open many new doors in my life, and honestly got me through the most difficult of times. Essentially helping me grow into the best of the best I have ever been in my 32 years of life. That's exactly what I needed, and I know that's one of the many things y'all need too. But when it comes to battling inner demons, and most importantly, the devil itself in the flesh, aka CPS, foster care, and the courts. Most importantly, the second person I need to show the utmost gratitude towards, and I want to thank with all my heart, goes by the name of Tina Salinas. Now, my journey in battle with the court system, foster care, and CPS had started in October, like I said. Our Tina and her Facebook group, We Are the Voice for the Silence and Afflicted, helped pave the way towards advocating for others in my situation, while ultimately exposing my very own personal injustices I had to continue to face within the family court system. Tina, if you're watching this right now, thank you for igniting that flame underneath me and becoming such an inspiration and advocate, not only for others, but most importantly myself. Now, Tina, like I said, I couldn't make it here today. But I promised her I would help keep her voice. The same voice that has been silenced many times, day in and day out. Tina underwent domestic violence just like myself, at the hands of her child's father. Ultimately, she had to abide by a visitation order put into place by once again another judge who doesn't seem to care about the well-being of the children or her child in this case, nor knows what's truly in the best interest of anybody else. Once Tina started to notice her son was being abused and coming home with marks both physically and emotionally, she was told pretty much to be quiet or she was going to feel the wrath of what a tyrant in a black robe really has the power and authority to do. Long story short, she created a platform that helped me, that was created, ground up, and published. She also published a petition she shares that I and many others stand firmly behind. Please remember to check out her petition on the Voice for the Silence Movement. I'm kind of tall, so I'm trying to go like this at the same time. Sorry. Okay. Most importantly, I'm tired of these so-called court pretenders, these grim reapers, aka judges in black robes, and other court actors. They need to finally pay close attention, or at least have some, if not all, sense of accountability to what monsters they are giving these children to. Is a system that far gone that they are willing to sell their soul to the devil at someone else's expense, yet alone someone else's trial? That's not, I that's what it's looking like to me at this point. Mind you, statistically speaking, 5 children die every day from child abuse and neglect, and that's roughly 25% of your child's elementary class. That is utterly disgusting. More than 70% of children who die as a result of child abuse or neglect were 3 years of age or younger. Around 80%, get this, 80% of child maltreatment fatalities involve at least one parent as a perpetrator. This leads to my actual story. The story I'm no longer embarrassed to speak upon nor share with any of you at this point. Before I continue, I want whomever is facing struggling addiction and domestic violence to know you are not alone. In regards to addiction, I don't care what anyone says. It is not just a choice, but in fact an illness, according to the DSM-5, which is a diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders. It's the American Psychiatric Association's go-to, that they have years and years of findings and many case studies. So I think I would be behind them saying it's not just a choice. The only thing that we as addicts choose, and yes, I say we because I was there 5 years ago. I was there when my doctor kept prescribing me unnecessary but addictive medication and didn't care what was in the best interest for me. I did not start at the very young age of saying, at 5 years old, saying, hey, the hell, instead of becoming a teacher, or a doctor, or a vet, I want to become a full-blown addict. No, that wasn't my intention. Exactly. With maybe a hint of anxiety, depression, or throw into becoming a DV victim addict, while you're out. No, that's not what I chose at 5 years old, especially not after. So, I'm very sarcastic. So, so, since I don't want to continue and go on, I didn't think 10 minutes would be that long. I mean, that short. I had created a petition online. If you log on to the group called Our Journey Towards Justice, a lot needs to change. Like, I have it separated in each phase of your CPS case, per se, an investigation to the TPR phase. So investigation, I think we need more body cameras. I think we need more education because I didn't know my rights from a hole in the wall when this started. Especially now when I'm facing a TPR trial and I have one more court appearance left. I don't think TPR trial should be the ultimate death sentence of our rights. We also, too, the grandparents and other family members should not be retaliated against or should have to be punished for whatever this court thinks or may feel we may have done, which is usually not the case. Usually we have malicious phone calls and lies. So with that being said, Jacqueline Perkins, have a support group for you guys. I wish I could talk forward and talk on and on all day long. Our journey for justice, right over here. I will support you, be alongside you to fight this fight for how long it takes and until your children are safely home. Thank you. To support you, Our Journey Towards Justice. No, just on Facebook. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Jacqueline. Give her a huge round of applause. That takes some serious guts. These broken systems, they're breaking our hearts. They might break our will for a bit, but as you can see here today, they do not break us. We are survivors. We are here together, and we are going to win until every child is back home where they belong.
Amen.
Thank you. So we are going to have one more speaker before a 20-minute intermission, so hopefully y'all can cool off, meet some amazing people. It is our strength together here today. Network, network, network. I am so excited to welcome Heather Carter up here to talk about finding your power and your voice, because she is one who has quite a story. She is so well spoken, and she here is living proof that we will not let this broken system break us. Yeah! Heather, come on, give her a round of applause, y'all.
All right, I'm so happy to be here with all of you.
power of your own voice. In late 2019, I contacted the Arizona Department of Child Safety for my low-income family in need. I removed my children and I from our home due to their father's diminishing mental health following a traumatic brain injury from a work accident. On my search for community resources, I was informed that the Arizona Department of Child Safety had services that could assist my family in need, so I contacted them. Little did I know, the greatest struggle my family would face was just beginning. Instead of receiving supportive services, my family received 3 separate wrongful removals and almost 2 years of psychological torment by Arizona Department of Child Safety. Having the United States government fund the wrongful removal of my 3 girls was reality crushing, and freedom quickly became nothing more than a facade. I learned that in America, the current structure of governing authority is solely based on control and disregards the protection of the American people. My initial intentions were forced to evolve from seeking supportive services to preparing for a custody battle with the opposing party being endlessly funded by our government. How could I possibly win? The odds were stacked against me, and I feared to lose my 3 girls forever. So I found the one tool that nobody could steal from me, my voice. Although I was restricted by a court order from speaking publicly on my case, I found a loophole called redaction. I shared my experience but redacted the personal names of all parties involved, and people started listening. I would go on to publicly reveal recordings of my interactions with Arizona DCS employees, court orders, therapy notes, and further evidence to inform the public to what was transpiring behind closed doors. There is power in numbers, and the more I publicly exposed, the greater positive changes I saw taking place within my own case. I continued to walk the path placed in front of me, but I held my head high and let everyone know the wrongdoings against my family. As my journey continued, publicly exposing my case, the benefits grew. I came into contact with a godsend of an advocate who educated and supported me in the who educated and supported me in the greatest hardship I have ever faced. And the networking didn't stop there.
Guys, I'm gonna switch over to Facebook.